going to go out. I might do a cycle this afternoon. Might sleep for a bit.
Okay.
I've got to
Good
go
morning.
on Wednesday to see Francis Ngannou.
Oh, well, listen, we'll cover that in a minute, but I've got to give a warm welcome to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, even good night, whatever time you're watching this. I'm Abz of October Red, and I'm joined by the marvellous, the wonderful, the journalist, the talk sport, the Telegraph, the bare knuckle boxing, standing with the ring girls. He's everywhere. He's that man. He is Gareth A. Davies. Welcome back, Gareth.
Thank you, Abz. Thank you for a great introduction.
Well, you deserve it because you have been a busy man, haven't you, Gareth?
So have you. Interviewing all and sundry, the whole big names of the boxing world, I see. Yeah, it has been busy. Cardiff at the weekend for bare knuckle boxing. Keeping an eye on all the other things that have been going on as well. Washington this week for an interview with Francis Ngannou.
Talk to us about that.
Well, Ngannou is finally back in MMA and he's fighting Renan Ferreira, who's the PFL heavyweight champion. He signed this big deal with the PFL to be kind of oversee the growth of mixed martial arts in Africa. So it's a really big time for him, and he's always fascinating. He's an incredible character. I think he's probably done in boxing myself.
Really?
Who would you like to see him fight?
You know what? If Wilder was fit, I would have said Wilder, but
yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? That probably would have been it, to be fair. Or Zhang.
I think he had his moment in the sun against Tyson Fury last October. And I don't think it gets any better for him from this point, Abz. Frankly, you know, I just don't see how he can improve on that performance against Tyson Fury. He shocked the world. What he did was unexpected. And I just don't think he can take it any further than that. And Anthony Joshua blew him out of the water there. I mean, did what Tyson Fury should have done, really, to him. But I've got my coffee and my pumpernickel down me now, so I'm good.
Pumpernickel, I love that.
Basically, I wish I had the HD on me that you've got on you. I've got a light up here as well. I'm going to try and get.
You know what I've started to use, Gareth?
No, what?
Mobile phone.
Oh, you're using your mobile phone?
Yeah. I'm on my laptop, but
I'm
using my phone as a camera.
It's an amazing picture, yeah.
But it just looks more like me, doesn't it?
It does. It does. What's the fight going on behind you, by the way?
I don't know. In fact, I don't usually have that with you, so I'm going to mess with the settings.
No, but it looks like...
I don't know. I'll do it for the watch along, Gareth.
Is it Madison Square Garden?
I don't know. That's better.
Oh.
Sorry. I only usually put that up when I'm doing the live watch along, so clearly I haven't changed it for when I was doing the live watch along for the lovely Denzel Bentley versus Osaze.
He did very well, didn't he?
He did.
He did very well.
I didn't see that coming.
Why not?
Because it was just the way that he threw it. It was almost discreet.
Yeah,
it wasn't there for the eye to see.
On the inside, yeah,
just beautiful. I was worried for Osaze at one point as well.
Yeah. Very, very sweet science that was. I've only caught the highlights from Saturday night because, as you know, I was in Cardiff. I see him. Alois Jr. looked very impressive as well. I think he is very impressive. He's
good
a very
test, that one.
Cruiserweight. But you know, I was just testing the waters on the bare knuckle stuff. So, which I did find fascinating. Obviously, 1650s are the first records of bare knuckle boxing in this country. It originated. Obviously, there's been bare knuckle all over the world forever, but the record
do it on a city centre on a Saturday night. But anyway,
I could see you as more of a bare knuckle girl than a gloved girl, actually. Brutal, cutting them, knocking them down, get them to stand up again, the crowd going crazy, and you bash them again, slipping under a big punch to make sure you don't get your face cut, dropping them again, and then just the hands in victory. October Red, be ready. Stay ready.
You know what I like? No, I prefer MMA.
How would you?
Yeah, because you can use your elbows, your knees, your legs. Obviously, you can't use your head, but I'd prefer that because it's all fun then. Boxing is an extremely disciplined sport, extremely disciplined, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't got the discipline for it.
Wow. Well, and funnily enough, at the weekend, Gabby Garcia in jiu-jitsu fought a man, Jones. Did you see that? A
No,
woman and a man had a big bout. Yeah, Nick Diaz was there. I mean, I'm digressing here. Nate Diaz was there. A who's who of jiu-jitsu and MMA. You know Gabby Garcia. She's really big. She's about 6 foot tall. Boxer, combat sports fighter. She had a
okay.
jiu-jitsu match with Jones. Is it Jones? I've just been.
How did that go?
I didn't see the results, but I was just seeing that it was a man against a woman in jiu-jitsu. I think that's okay.
You do?
That's why I draw that, because they're not punching each other. They're not hitting each other. They're simply grappling.
Grappling.
He's a much, much smaller man than her as well, which I think is the right way round.
Interesting.
I know.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about it, but I watched a bit of it, and
I'm going to look for that now, Gareth.
Yeah. Gabby Garcia. Well, I'm sure I've told you before. I covered the only licensed fight between a man and a woman in America in 2000. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Because it came up, I think, the other day when we were talking about Imam Khalifi and the Olympics, who, for me now, by the way, I know I'm leading the chat here, sorry. Imam Khalifi needs, in my view, to do a biological test and put it out there publicly. Because the amateur route's blocked. We may not get Olympic boxing in 2028.
Yeah.
And Eddie Hearn said he'd consider promoting her. So
if she did what you've just said to do.
Yeah. Think she does the test or not?
It's entirely up to her, isn't it? To be fair, I can't. You know, when you see the whirlwind that captivates X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and then it's like everyone jumps on the bandwagon before getting the actual facts. I tend to sit back and just watch how it plays out, because often it doesn't play out how you expect it to. If she was like born a girl, a woman, female, whatever, then she's a female. Obviously, if they do the test and it says that she's got the chromosomes of a male, and I don't want to get sued, so it's just like, just leave it to the experts to do what they're doing, and I'll just sit back and watch. Because let's face it, you do get some females. I mean, I've had some comments on here where people have said, bloody hell, she looks like a bloke.
Who does? What, you?
Yeah, I've had all sorts, but you do get some. You do get some females that do look very well.
I've got comments that I look like someone's big fat aunt. You know. Here's the thing with Imam Khalifa. We won't get sued, because here's the thing. You can be optically a woman, but biologically you are either man or woman. There are only two sexes, male and female.
Yeah, we know that.
Their gender ideology has kind of taken over the world. There are several genders, but it doesn't matter even if she's born and identified as a woman, has lived as a girl and then grown up to be a woman.
Yeah.
If in her biology, and whether she has, even if she doesn't have genitals, it's obviously a DSD, as they call it, male genitals, that is. She could still biologically be a male in terms of her bone structure and her testosterone levels and the way her muscles have grown and all the density of her bones, all those kind of things. So, I mean, it's apparently, I mean, I've been looking into this a lot, like you have. It's quite a straightforward test to prove it.
Is it?
They look at the white blood cells,
under
a microscope, and they do the tests. I think she should do it, and then then she's got her case against J.K. Rowling and Donald Trump or whoever it is, and all the people who denigrated her. Elon Musk. Is she XX or is she XY? We need to know. I think we need to know before she turns pro.
Gareth, I know it sounds a bit out there and weird, but then how many, say for example, the reason why I guess that maybe she's got some of the, and I'm not condoning it at all because I don't, some of the comments that she has is because she may look slightly more masculine than, you know, females do.
Yeah,
right?
but that's just optics. There's optics.
Yeah, that's optics. But imagine how many females don't look masculine. But if there was to take that test, it would show up something else.
Well, it might.
You see where I'm going with it? It's like, where do you draw the line? Is it optics that we're going off? Oh, she looks like a bloke. Let's test her. But her over there that clearly looks like a woman might have those chromosome makeup, but we can't see it.
Every single competitor that takes part in women's boxing, in women's sports, should do a verified sex check.
I agree.
In terms of
that, I agree with.
Because there's only two channels of competition: men's sport and women's sport. Yeah. And what you don't want is certainly in combat sports, Abz, you do not want males punching females, hitting females. The strength and power ratios in the body are extraordinarily dangerous for the women, and that's the point that's being made over and over again by biologists and people. Every single woman that boxes should do the gender, or not the gender, but the sex test. Are they male or female? Simple as that. Some women will have, I'm sure, elevated levels of testosterone and built for it structurally because of their parents, their DNA, all those kind of things. What part of the world they come from, how they've been brought up. But a lot of it is genetics, of course. So, you know, and we know that some women are more powerful than other women. But we are talking the elite fighters. We're talking elite boxers, top of the tree. And you cannot have someone that has male physiology, or biology rather, against a female. Even if they could look like you. They could look like the prettiest person in the world. But they shouldn't be boxing against a woman if their biological makeup is male. Simple as that.
Yeah, it is. But I think sometimes we just, like I said, we get wrapped up on what we see on the internet and we just run with it before obviously knowing.
No, the problem was people were saying that she was transgender. That's at the very beginning, and it went way out of control.
But that's what I'm saying, without knowing the facts.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you.
And it's important to get all the facts before you make judgment, because whatever you say, for example, when you look at it from her point of view, she's there like reading all of that. You know what it's like with online like bullying, and that was like mass, like you know, like abuse, whatever the weather, whatever it is, however it ends up, that's going to have some like messed up effect.
Are there no comments about this morning? Because I think people are really driven by
you know what? It's because I'm absolutely enthralled in looking into your eyes through your dark shades. I haven't even checked the comments. But anyway, Colabello, good morning to you. I think Grant says good morning as well. Good morning to you, Grant.
Morning, Grant.
Ify said, good morning. Hopefully Ngannou is done with boxing. There's no need to overdo it.
Completely agree. Completely agree.
And if he goes on to say, you can't take the trolls seriously as you're on camera. They solely want a reaction on camera to get to you. Bloody hell, it takes a lot to get to me. There's only one person that can scare me on Twitter, and he knows who he is because I tell him often.
Can I try and guess who that is?
No, you wouldn't know, because it's like there's a group of us. We all get on. But his comments, like, he's the only person that I'll go on Twitter, and I will shout him out, Bruce Kai. I'll go on Twitter and then I'll just like, nope, not today. And I'll just come off the app. He's the only one. But everything else, sort of water off a duck's back. Right? Did you shower or bathe?
What a silly question that is.
Star Fox is very mischievous. But
yeah, no. No, it's obviously because I asked boxers that at one point. I know I'm going out for a bike ride after this, actually, and I'm going to have a little sleep because I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'm going to do a little bit of exercise, get on the bike. But
They're more interested in you, Gareth.
What's that?
They don't want to hear about Iman Khalif. They want to hear about Gareth A.
Yeah,
Davies.
exactly. I can play the piano. I'm very bad at it, but I do take lessons, and yeah, you can see it behind me. Mini grand, I do. Thank you, Danny. I can play the piano, but not right now.
So we're going to go back to Francis Ngannou because that's where we started off. So he's obviously PFL, MMA, putting it back on the map. A good poster boy for the PFL as well. Can't argue with that. So talk to us about you obviously arranging to get that conversation with him, because unfortunately I know that his son passed away around the time of the AJ fight as well. So he's not had a, he's not, that is horrific to even think about. But we talk about topics. What things will you be talking to him about, Gareth?
Well, exactly that. I mean, I'm going over to do an interview, deep interview with him for Talk Sports. It's a PFL event over there. Brendan Loughnane is fighting in the playoffs on Friday night. I'll be covering that as well. It's in Washington.
Okay.
Francis is around on Thursday. I believe Jake Paul's there as well for some reason. Obviously, we've seen him in the last couple of days, and Mike Tyson. I'm going to talk to him about what his future is in boxing, how they can stimulate the African continent with combat sports and have a big events over there. Look at the scenes of Martin Bakoli returning home to Congo, and the visits with the president and his family with the president.
Phenomenal.
Amazing scenes, you know. I could see Bakoli against Joshua, knockout chaos in Lagos or somewhere like that, you know.
Knockout chaos in Lagos. I like
exactly.
that.
Me and Adi Oladipo came up with that one, Abz. So
I like that.
But I think Adi came up with it originally. But
shout out Adi.
Yeah, we're just going to do a deep interview about where he is. Whether there's a future for him in boxing. He's a fascinating character. I'd probably, if there is the right moment, we'll touch on how he's been feeling about his son and whether he's able to celebrate the 15 or 16 months of his life. You know, as a parent, and myself as a parent, that it's the last thing, the worst thing that can ever happen. It hasn't happened to us, I believe. Yeah, exactly. Touch wood. So just do a deep interview. He's a very easy interview in lots of ways. He's very gentle with his thought processes, and I'm not going to give it all away, but I'll be preparing on the way.
No, don't. Yeah.
But looking forward to sitting down with him, and I'm glad to see him returning. I think as one of your subscribers, one of your fans indicated just now in his comment, it's the right thing for Ngannou to do, to go back to MMA. What PFL are doing, because they own Bellator now as well, is they're putting champion against champion, and they're also very ambitious with their drive to try and catch up, if you like, with the UFC. That's obviously the biggest MMA organization out there. Can I ask you, do you think you'd come to a bare knuckle event? It's very, very exciting.
I think I probably would. Yeah, I think
one in Wolverhampton coming up.
Is there?
Yeah, it's near you.
When? Yeah, it is.
Sometime in September or October.
You'll have to let us know.
I'm gonna have to get you along to that.
Yeah, I'd enjoy it. I'd like
it is very enjoyable
as well, because they're brutal, aren't they?
All I'm worried about is you becoming a bare knuckle fighter afterwards, because I think it's going to appeal to you.
It'd be more mixed. It'd be more MMA for me. I like the grappling. I like dragging, taking someone down on the floor, elbowing them in their face to their face just gets cut to pieces. The fact that I can get them to quit, submit, just restrict their oxygen. That's
actually, I do see that suiting you.
Yeah,
I do see it.
Just wrap my legs around them and just squeeze them like a boa constrictor, and just let them beg for mercy. Yeah.
This is a bit too much for Monday. Bit too much for Monday morning now.
Oh well, you asked. You asked. I'm not disciplined enough for boxing. I've told you that. I'll do it for fitness, but I wouldn't do it properly.
Have you started rolling or not?
Rolling with what?
Jiu-jitsu.
Nah. I am going to. I've got myself back into boxing training after being out for about 1.5 years. just to like really start to up the levels. But I'm looking for a mixed martial arts place local to me, and then I definitely will just take it up, even if it's just like the grappling, because I enjoyed that, because I have done that before when I had a personal trainer and we had so much fun. And he did tell me I was quite strong.
I know. I think you're very strong. I can see that when you do your weights, when you do your workouts. You've got the Edwards brothers, Leon and Fabian,
Yeah,
near you as well. I mean, that's a
I
formidable.
need to go. Yeah, I've got to get down to their gym, really. And it's a disgrace that I haven't been there, but
No, it is
I'll blame
disgraceful.
myself. One of the things that I will do is I'll just knock on the door one of the days and just say, "Hi, can I come in?" and see what they say.
Do you know what you say that? That is what gyms are like. You can just walk in,
Oh
um,
no.
and what I've because there's great respect for women in MMA gyms as well. I've
Mm,
always
mm.
noticed that. It's something I've talked about before and written about before, that
Interesting.
when women's MMA came in about 11 years ago, I think, in the big time in UFC.
Yeah.
All that, Scott Coker had done it in Strikeforce with people like Gina Carano and Chris Cyborg, going back maybe 5 or 6 years before that. There is a real respect level in MMA gyms for women. There's no kind of
Okay.
um, there's no bullying. There's no, and women do train with the men in the gyms. Men and women do roll together in
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because as they say, that once you get someone who's bigger than you on the ground, it's so much easier. It becomes much more even contest, and it's easier to control them.
yeah.
I'm glad Take Ames is tuning in, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. Shout out to Eamon Khan from Seconds Out. Always supportive. I've got to absolutely give a massive shout out to him.
Oh, that's
James, good
Eamon, is
morning
it?
to yourself. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He always pops in. Always pops in. I did pop in on their live the other day as well. Enjoyed listening to that. Morning, James. Hakan Johansson. Big up Abz and Gareth. Good morning, Abz, the Gad, and the chat. James has got a question for you. And we edge back onto boxing now that I've talked about being a boa constrictor. What do you think about the talks between Cordina and Shakur?
I've interviewed Shakur several times before Joe suffered that almost. It's kind of being seen as a bit of a catastrophic defeat to Anthony Kakachi. He wasn't well out in Saudi. He didn't make the weight well. Kakachi's obviously now on the London card in September and going huge guns. He's a very, very strong man at super feather. I always liked Joe at lightweight, but he could make the weight easy at super feather. Shakur, when Joe was at super feather, Shakur, who I spoke to many times, or at least 2 or 3 times about this, rated Joe as the best super featherweight on this side of the pond. And we're always, because I said to him, why don't you come and fight here, Shakur? And he said, Cordina's the man. So I do see that fight being made. It hasn't been confirmed, has it?
No, I think it's in talks,
Yeah, I like it.
according to Parsons on the stomping ground for getting all that info out of His Excellency.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
like that fight.
informative.
I like that fight, and I expect they're looking. I don't know, but I imagine they're looking at the October card in Riyadh for that. It's a really good fight.
Interesting.
Really good fight for Cordina to come back to that. Really good fight.
Very.
Really.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
How do you think that fight goes, though? Because, yeah, I mean, my spidey senses are telling me Shakur, but I know Cordina's good. When Cordina's Cordina, he's good. He really is good. He's got amazing feet. I love his feet. I don't know. What do you think?
I think he'll attack hard against Shakur, and I think it'll suit Shakur. I think it's a style that is good for him, and it's a style that he can paint on, if you like. Perfect foil for Shakur. Cordina's got heavy hands. It'd probably be at lightweight, presumably, which is good for Cordina. I'm glad he's going back up to lightweight.
Yeah.
No, I think Shakur wins it on points for me, or even by stoppage late.
Stoppage.
Yeah, because I think Cordina will commit.
Right. And that's what Shakur wants. Tolby has said, what a fascinating interview of the Gad's amazing life by Dodge Woodall. on Eventful Lives. Massive respect to Gareth. If you haven't watched it, please watch it 100%.
That's very kind from Toby. It's a very long podcast, though. 2 hours long.
2 hours, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, there was quite a few things. It's, you know, we used to. I know you interview me and others interview me, but we talk about specific subjects rather than ourselves, even though we give our opinions in these interviews. So it was a deep dive in lots of ways. I enjoyed it very much going down to Dodge's studio. A lot of nice comments on there. I really appreciate that from Toby. Yeah, I did talk a lot about where I've worked, what I've done, how my life has gone. It was very, very good fun.
Yeah. If you see, it goes back to Denzel Bentley with one of the best knockouts of the year. Feel for Azazi. His ring inactivity showed.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. The preacher, isn't he, Azazi? Fantastic character. I think he's still a preacher, or he was at one time. I think he was a preacher, wasn't he?
Interesting.
I think so. Shaka, unanimous decision against Cordina. Yeah, if he said, I don't disagree with that at all. Anything else? I'm sorry, am I pushing us?
Yeah,
no,
what I want to do,
minutes, by the way.
Okay, yeah, I want to ask, and I need your opinion, and this is important because obviously you've traveled the world more than I do. What did you think about, and it seems to be drifting off into another direction now, Canelo and His Excellency, just a little bit of a to in and a throw in. But like I said, I've got to shout out Charlie Parsons from the Stomping Ground because he asked His Excellency about that. And His Excellency's response was Canelo was annoyed with him, but he shouldn't be annoyed with him because Canelo's got a issue or has had a conversation with Eddie Hearn. So it's got nothing to do with him. So he's getting brought into something that he's got no idea about. Gareth, your thoughts on that?
I think they're just doing business in public at the moment. That we're just seeing it ride out. As HE is indicating, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh's indicating, I can do deals directly with the fighters, and then I'll leave it to the promoters to organise after that. I don't think Crawford and Canelo will fight each other. I think Canelo's got too much to lose in that fight. It doesn't do anything for his legacy. It's all about what Crawford can do against Canelo. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see it. It's a fantasy fight. But I think they will do business together. And I think if anyone can get Canelo in the ring with David Benavidez, it's His Excellency. And he kind of hinted 100%. That he's going to get to that. But Canelo also is just flexing his kind of powerful muscles as well and saying, I don't need to work with these people. No one else has done remember that 10-fight, $365 million deal that he did with DAZN? Oscar De La Hoya at the time. He's very powerful, Canelo. He does need to fight David Benavidez before he leaves the sport. I think that's probably his final fight or his last two fights if they do two abs.
Fair enough.
And I do think if anyone can make that fight and put the money on the table to make it happen, I do think it's Turki Al-Sheikh. But at the moment, Canelo has definitely got himself out of that bidding war by asking for $150 or $200 million.
200, wasn't it? Yeah.
Too much. It's too much. It doesn't work.
Right. Alex Harvey, good morning to you. Hey, Abz and Gareth. Do you think Tyson needs to go for the knockout against Usyk in the rematch?
Yeah, look at those first 6-7 rounds against Usyk, what Fury was doing. Less of the showboating, just business, please. He showed in the first 6-7 rounds what he can do against Usyk. I just think he's got to try and hurt him, bully him, and be on top of him. Use his weight and strength and height advantages, all those things, and try and get into Usyk early in the fight and look at what he's got to do in those rounds where Usyk's shown that ability to come back at the end of a fight. So it's still a brilliant prospect. Either man could win that. It's very hard to write Usyk off in that second fight. It's a very tough comeback fight for Fury, in my view.
But a beautiful fight, and I can't wait for it.
It's going to be amazing, Abz.
James, just a quick one. I don't know when it's going to be out, if I'm honest. it's out there in the ether. As soon as it is, I'll put something up on my socials anyway. So as soon as I know, I promise that you guys will know. Grant says, I saw a few things online about His Excellency offering Deontay Wilder one last shot against Derek Chisora. What do you make of this? And do you think it's likely? I do.
I think it is possible. Derek's resilience and ability. Obviously, a lot of us want him to stop boxing because he's going on too long. He's 40 now. It's not what he's going through now, but how he might be in 10 or 20 years' time. But it's not for us to say whether he should stop boxing or not. Wilder hasn't looked good in his last 2 fights. He's looked like a ghost of himself. He looks haunted in there. But if you're putting him in with anyone, yeah, maybe Derek. Maybe Derek is the guy. But I'd quite like to see Derek and Dillian have a dance for a third time. I'd like to see them fight bare knuckle as well, by the way.
Imagine.
Unbelievable. But yeah, that's viable. Chisora against Wilder is definitely viable. It's a fun fight to have on one of those big Saudi cards, in my view.
Yeah, we like it. Right, Owen said, has Gareth heard any rumours about potential fights on the October Riyadh card? I bet you he has, but he ain't going to tell us, is he?
Well, as I said, if Shakur Stevenson and Joe Cordina get matched up, that's viable, I think, for that card. They're talking about Chris Eubank coming back soon. Ben Shalom is obviously got a promotional deal now with Chris Eubank. Ben Shalom's involved in that Riyadh card, or in that interview with Charlie Parsons. HE was talking about Ben Shalom, Eddie Hearn, and Frank Warren all working together in the UK now. So I imagine there'll be something there. Eubank needs to come back soon, unless Boxer and Sky do a big main event for him. I don't know the other fights on there. I know that Fabio Wardley and
I was going to ask you about that.
Wardley and Clark is supposed to be close to being signed. Who knows where that's going to be? But that could be anywhere. That could be anywhere. That could be in the UK.
Big, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be a football ground. It could be anywhere.
Who do you think wins this time round? I know it was a draw last time, but who do you think gets it this time?
It's just a pick 'em, Abs.
I'll
have to have a look at them closer to the time. Why, have you got an instinct on it?
The thing is, I thought if Fraser hadn't lost, as in the point deduction and the knockdown, I thought Fraser won last time. But I know now that they're both going to train and equally as hard, because they know that they're in for a long, hard night and they're going to be training to get the other one out of there early. So when you say it's a pick 'em, I've got to say I'm with you on that, because
it's very hard to write.
Yeah.
It's very hard to write Fabio Wardley off because he's got such dog.
No, you can't, not with any of them.
But technically, if Fraser does a few things, then he ought to be able to win the bouts. But I think it's just going to become a battle of desire and will, and who wants it the most again, in my view.
Desire and will. I love that. Right. I think if he said, where's it gone? He said about Osaze. He went to my uni. He's always been about boxing and his faith, saying he's still a preacher. So fair enough then.
Yeah, Derek Osaze. Yeah. Fantastic guy, by the way.
Yeah, he seemed really lovely at the press conference, and even Denzel was like, "Look, this guy's lovely. I don't really need to do this like animosity trash talk because he's genuinely a nice guy, but we've got to have this fight." It was very gentlemanly of them both, and not that the fact that, you know, sometimes when it's like that, Gareth, you can get a bit bored. Yeah. I wasn't bored because it was honest respect, so I could cope with that. Toby says Turkey said it didn't come from Canelo's DM, so he's not sure who it was. Someone needs to ask Eddie about it, because Rick Glazer said there was friction between Eddie Reynoso and Eddie Hearn previously. Sounds like a bit of handbags at dawn, so I'll leave them to sort that out. We just want to see the great fights made.
Well, HE likes to talk directly to the fighters, doesn't he? And obviously, that's how he wants to do it. That's his in. That's the way he works through that. He was also saying about he wasn't sure who was contacting him from Tim Sue's team in the same way as well.
He said the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Like in
No, it's just
boxing, Gareth?
people.
Because I just thought it would be management team to management team, and not necessarily directly straight with the fighters. But I guess it depends on the level of the fighter who you directly go to. I don't know, Gareth. Enlighten
Well, it
me.
also depends on different fighters have different promotional teams as well, and people have a portion of them, or it's very complicated business managing and promoting boxers. It's not as straightforward as it always appears on the surface.
I've got to finish off with Moses Atuma, who you saw obviously got Marius Wack out there in 2 rounds. A 19-year-old that Frank Warren is, very proud of being his fighter. I think is it Francis that manages him as well? So it's all in-house. They seem to be developing him quite nicely. You can say what you want about Marius. It's still a good, tough fight for him to have at such a young age. So, he's eyeing up what he wants to do next. I think he wants the English, then he wants to go for the British when he comes of age. But he's already got the WBO. Is it intercontinental or
it's got nothing at the moment? But it's just a it's.
But he puts him in the rankings, though, doesn't it, Gareth?
I don't. Is he already in the?
Is he in the WBO rankings? Yeah, I've had a look.
What, at 15 or something?
Yeah, but he's still in the rankings. A lot of heavyweights' names aren't even in there.
Yeah, but it's got. He cannot.
So what do you think he should do next? If you was mapping out his career, even though I think, the Warrens are doing an excellent job with it, how do you think it's going, and what do you think he should do next? Because he can't go for the British. He's too young. I think you have to be 20 for that.
I've got his 10 with the WBO.
Oh, to number 10. Fair enough. He's gone up then, because I'm sure he was like 13 a couple of days ago, because I've been keeping an eye on it.
10, I just looked it up. He's 10. Let's not rush him too much. Let's put him in against gatekeepers and journeymen still at the moment, and just test him a little bit. What's he, 10-0, isn't he?
I think so.
He's 19. He's there's so much work to do. He's going to have a few cans. He's going to knock out and stop, but he needs to be gently tested.
Gently.
I think it's heavyweight boxing, so gently is a.
I know what you mean.
To use, but
was Marius Wack a gentle test?
No, what it was a absolute proof that he hits very hard. He's got fast hands, and you can't mess around with him in there. You've either got to knock him back and hit him. You can't let him come all over you, because he's going to swarm you like a. He's going to swarm you like a rash, like more than a wasp, like 10,000 wasps. I mean, I was hoping he'd make a statement against Marius Wack. I think he did, and that's why we're talking in this way. That's why they moved him into those rankings. He's going to have 15 to 18 fights before he fights for anything really significant. But
what's really significant when you say that? What's really significant? Do you mean
probably
the
a British title, Commonwealth, European, something like that? Abs.
What about the English? Is he ready for that now?
Yeah, the English he is. Yeah. He's very formidable. It's unbelievable. You know yourself. You've been with him. You have to pinch yourself to think he's 19. He's got so much maturity about him. He carries himself really well.
I'm yet to get him on the channel, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah.
really?
He said he's not a big fan of your channel, because you give him a hard time and you say that he may not make it once someone comes and gives it to him, puts it up him.
Yeah, of course I did. I'm gonna get him on there. I'll get him.
Of course you'll get him
eventually.
I'll put in a word.
No, you don't need to. He's got to want to. With the guests, Gareth, they have to want to. I don't force anything. If you don't want to, that's fine. That's your choice. I only like guests that are welcome, that really want to be there, even though sometimes I guess nobody wants to be there. But you know what I mean. Yeah. I'm not here because I've got to get that because of this, that, and the other. It has to be a two-way conversation, so they've got to want to be there. And at this time, I don't think he does. But here we go. Let me just end up finally with DTD. Parsons did a great interview with His Excellency talking about a big China show, Bakoli Zhang. Yeah. What a fantastic global link-up for boxing. lighting up with 2 huge populations behind them, man. Goosebumps. And you can't complain about what he's doing. He's literally putting Riyadh season literally all over the globe.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
A passport stamp, isn't it? Let's go over there. Let's go over here. What do the fans want? Let's put that there then.
Well, it's a huge population, 2.5 billion people in China, I think it is. And, you know, Zhang is one of the, you know, greatest exports in sporting terms. Name another huge name who's a Chinese sporting star. You got them in the Olympics and those kind of things, but not really outside that. So I think it's a great move. He's talked about Beijing for a while. Bakoli against Zhang is a brilliant. It makes you salivate, that fight.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the promo, the posters, the lead up, Gareth.
Exactly.
Even that is, you know,
Exactly.
you can. Oh, look, I mean, running with like temperature stereotypes of each country, the traditional clothing, the 2 giants standing on each other's, you know, part of the world. I just think it makes a phenomenal, even like I said, just a promo, never mind the actual fight, the 2 giants. Wow.
I think they'll end up doing it on Fury and Usyk. I don't think it'll. Well, it could go to China.
Okay.
It could go to China.
I'd like it. I don't care, because I think China, it'd be like I could watch it at 9 a.m. in the morning rather than staying there with matchsticks on my eyes at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, like I was with the Los Angeles card.
I remember when Bob Arum tried it with Manny Pacquiao. You know, we had a few events in Macau that we went to there in near Hong Kong. And obviously there's a lot of Asian fans there, Southeast Asian fans there. But, you know, Zhang's a great character. And if they can really get that Chinese market, they only need a tiny sliver of it. Abz, I'm going to have to jump out, you know?
Yeah. I'll just end it with a bit of humour. Don't let Moses come all over you. Great advice, Gareth. I think he was on about his fighting style. We'll end it on a bit of humour. Listen, Gareth, always a pleasure. Thank you to all of you that tuned in this morning. I can't do it without you. And Gareth, I'm going to be in Liverpool this week. Are you going to be there? Or?
No, I'm going to be in Washington.
Of course you are. When are you flying out?
In a couple of days, and I'm back
Awesome.
Sunday morning. Yeah.
Lovely. Guys, you know what we say at October Red? Except for thank you, and you're great being here. Stay ready.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.